Hello and welcome to the Good Boy Podcast, the podcast where we talk about good boys and good girls. And of course, we were talking about dogs. Dogs that we grew up with, dogs that we have now, and how they have positively affected our lives. I'm your host, Ilya Alexeyev, and I'm joined with my guest, who is my brother, Ian. Hi, Ian.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is in your little script for your intro, did you write out positively PAWS?
I didn't.
Oh, well, missed opportunity. I guess there is no joke, so.
I mean, but that's theater of the mind. Mind's eye, because it's just an audio podcast.
It makes you think. You're just like,
Alright, so today we are going to talk about Dewey. So, Dewey is a dog that we have. He's 12 years old. He's a yellow lab, possibly mixed with something else. And yeah, you have anything you want to start off by saying about Dewey?
I've coined a phrase for Dewey, which is heart of gold, brain of mush, which I think accurately describes who he is. He's just the sweetest dog, but he is a giant, big fat moron. I've never seen a dog as stupid as him. He just doesn't understand what's going on in the world. Like, he has no concept of anything. If you get mad at him, I don't think he gets that you're mad at him. He's just kind of like looking at you like he's just like, oh, someone's talking to me. I'm happy about that. And it's really frustrating with him sometimes because he's just so stupid. But you can't be mad at him for too long because he's just such a friendly dog.
Yeah. So I guess we should just go kind of start chronologically in like when we got Dewey and all of that. So we got Dewey three or so years ago. A little more than 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it was the end of 2014.
And why did we get him? Do you remember?
Our mom was obsessed with getting a dog, and she kept obsessively looking to get a dog. And then she found a dog. She wanted an older dog because she didn't want a dog that would just kind of run around the house and jump on the counters and steal food and misbehave and pee in the house. And that's exactly what she did get with Dewey. He runs around, he gets
to be fair, he only peed in the house like once.
True, but he still did it.
Yeah. So we got Dewey at the Humane Society, and actually when we went, it was our mom, me and you, and Mikey, our other dog who we talked in the first episode. Well, not you didn't talk about him. But so you stayed in the car with Mikey, and then my mom and I went to meet Dewey. And so I guess kind of like initial thoughts, it was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, he didn't have any like make any lasting impressions on the initial meeting with him. We saw him, very nice. They said he was very friendly. Like, okay, cool. And then at this point, our mom really wanted a dog. So it seemed like she would basically take like anything. I mean, there was another dog who we almost got, but the dog had some sort of health issue and had really expensive medicine. So we didn't get that dog. But yeah, so we met Dewey, and then it got to the point where it's like, okay, well, have the dogs meet. And so, you have any memories from that?
Well, the house has 2 cats and Mikey, so we needed a dog that got along with other dogs, and you needed a dog that got along with cats. And so I guess our mom asked if Dewey got along with cats, and they're like, they have no idea. And then we had Mikey and Dewey meet, and they ended up playing in the little play area in the Humane Society.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that because I actually said we should not get Dewey. Now, as mentioned several times on the first episode, we are not dog experts in any sense. We're just fans and owners and lovers and all that.
I am of the dog fan community. I post on dog Reddit all the time. Our dog fans.
So, basically, and like, if you didn't listen to the previous episode, Mikey's a black lab. At this point, he was, 6 years old?
Yeah.
So, he's still, doing well, energy and strength and all that. And so they started playing. And they're about the same size. And Mikey is a very vocal dog, so he's making all these kind of what would you call it, grunting?
He can sound like a pig sometimes. He kind of squeals.
Yeah, it's very weird. And so they're playing, they're doing the play bow, they're, I don't know, how you describe, how they play,
They're just playing and running around. Nothing.
But Mikey is a very competitive.
He can be a bit aggressive,
and he's a strong dog, and he's going against an older dog.
Not aggressive in that he's attacking, but aggressive that he's
he's
domineering.
His play style is aggressive, and so they're playing, and actually remember, we're all standing there, and Dewey gets pushed into my leg, and really got knocked into my leg, and it hurt. It's like my leg I'm just standing there stiff, and he hit me right at the knee. And where I'm going with not being a dog expert is I don't know if Dewey's a good fit for our house. I was concerned about Mikey. Mikey had always been weird around other dogs, just meeting in the walking, and so I was a little uncomfortable getting another dog. But the person working at the Humane Society said, hey, this is normal, this is all good. And then before we knew it, Dewey was in our car.
Yeah, the fact that Mikey actually played with Dewey is something, because Mikey usually is not a dog that plays with other dogs. He does his own thing. We would take Mike to the dog park, and he would just chase the ball. That's all he cared about.
We talked about that, but I guess the difference was this is just a room, and there's no balls or anything, so it's
Mikey could have ignored him.
True.
Or been aggressive, but...
True. And so, do you have any initial thoughts? Do you remember having any initial thoughts on Dewey?
Not really. I didn't have any strong feelings any way or the other. I just remember on the car ride back, Mikey, who just was playing with this dog and having a good time with this dog, I think realized that Dewey was coming home, and Mikey was visibly upset. He was vocalizing. Mikey was really bad about Dewey coming home. He was just so annoyed and probably a little... I can't remember if he was growling or anything, but it was really strange behavior when we were taking Dewey home.
Yeah, and so we were coming back in a minivan, so we had the back row down and the dogs there. And when I say I didn't want Dewey, it was because I was concerned about I didn't want a dog who wouldn't fit in our house. I didn't have anything against him. I wanted to make sure whatever dog we got and Mikey would be okay, and that was my big concern. And let's see, so we got Dewey, and I guess a lot of probably 6 months or so at least, there'd be little fights and stuff.
I'd say probably a little longer. It probably took. There was definitely a territorial battle. At times, I was just I don't want to leave the dogs home alone, because I was afraid that I knew it would be Mikey Mikey would not. But if one of the dogs is going to get killed, it's definitely going to be Dewey if they get in a huge fight.
Yeah, and Mikey, as we mentioned in the previous episode, is that Mikey instantly became very protective of us.
He's very territorial,
and so that was a concern. So we had work and school and all of that. So there would be, during the week, they would be home alone. And for a while, did we have Dewey crated up?
Dewey was crated for a bit. Then he had, free reign in the master bedroom, and then eventually I started leaving them alone without telling anyone because I wanted them to just get used to it.
See, this is called the Good Boy podcast, but you belong on the Bad Boy podcast.
Apparently. Well, it's not a bad boy because eventually Mikey and Dewey grew to be, if not friends, colleagues at best.
Roommates?
Roommates that tolerate each other.
Yeah, so, like, so kind of getting into a little bit of, like, the little, like, territorial scuffles. It was, like, almost completely harmless, like, every single time, because we were able to intervene. But what it would come down to is basically we have, like, a TV room that we spend most of our time in, and then, like, you know, Mikey would just be sitting there, Dewey would be sitting there, and then it's like, oh, one dog turned his head and looked at the other, and they made eye contact, and they
start fighting.
Yeah,
like legit fights, not like playing. You could tell when they're playing. You can tell when they're fighting. They're big, large dogs, and they growl, and you know, they're going at it. We've had bleeding inadvertently.
Human and dog.
I've gotten
nothing serious.
Nothing was ever serious.
And
but like, you know, they would like get them on.
Most of the cuts were human, I would say, because what we first started doing is our kind of logic was, oh, we'll grab the collar so you can pull the dog back. But you know, when they're barking and trying to get each other, you're getting in, you're in a danger zone, right? There's sharp teeth going around. So eventually I kind of figured, like, oh, we can just grab them by the back legs and pull them back. And that worked.
The dumbest thing, though, is that they would fight, and you'd think that they, like, hate each other, but we would break up the fights, and then it would be it. And then they'd just be like, do all over again. Like, just in an instant like that. They're just... And you're just like, I don't even know what it was about. Like, sometimes maybe one would step on the other or would go over the food dishes. Like, either Mikey would lick Dewey's bowl or Dewey would be licking Mikey's bowl after they had eaten. Like, we had to come up with, like, different feeding schedules and stuff. Eventually, that stuff, like, didn't matter because they're cool with each other now. And I would say friends. They're definitely friendly towards each other now.
It was really frustrating because it's like, like the last thing we wanted to do was have this dog and then have to give him up because it didn't work. You know?
Yeah, and Dewey had been a dog that had been in and out of the Humane Society like 3 times in the 5-month span.
Yeah, and I didn't mention this, but they said that he I forgot. Well, here's a little context for Dewey. So he's 12 now, but he's still fairly energetic. When they told us that he used to get run 4 to 6 miles every day. Now they didn't say how old he was when he had that, but you could tell that he needed to get that energy out. And they also said that, like, I think kind of what put my mom over the edge was that, like, I think it was in a couple weeks that if he didn't get adopted, he'd be taken to like a what is it called? Like
he'd be taken to the farm upstate, but not metaphorically.
Like a rescue farm.
Yeah.
Like habitat, but where they have like tons of dogs and like tons of open property. And so, you know, like, well, that's one of the things, like, why we go to the Humane Society, right? Is because we want to, you know, help get a dog who, needs a home. And so I guess the other thing that we didn't mention that's key to Dewey's personality is he needs a lot of attention. And mostly how he just needs it, he'll just come up to you and just, like, look at you, and he basically just wants to be pet. Sometimes he makes little weird squealing noises, like, if you don't pet him. But he needs a lot of attention. Like, I think that when he was younger, he spent a lot of time alone because he just does all sorts of weird stuff, like you mentioned, like, he doesn't understand a lot of stuff. Like, he just gets in the middle of the, like, walkways and
you can't walk through, like, Dewey has mastered the art of getting in the way. Like, you'll be walking one way and you'll be clearly walking in a direction, and dogs are good with directions. I'm pretty sure, I may be just speaking out of my butt right now, but I've seen, I think, like, there's like 3 species that understand pointing, and it's like humans, chimps, and dogs. And so they understand direction, and Dewey just not like walks by your side or behind you. He walks directly to the spot that you're going to and then does not move, and then you just end up kicking. Dewey has some, and this is why I think he's the stupidest dog I have ever met in my life, and probably one of the stupidest dogs of all time, is he doesn't learn from this that he's walking in this way and then will not move once there's that inadvertent contact. And he is constantly finding ways to hurt himself in like the stupidest ways. He does weird things where, like, you know, the leash, you know, he'll kind of like start walking and then the leash will get like behind. I don't even know how he does this.
I hate that.
I don't even know how he does this, because I've never, the leash gets behind his, like, where his butt and hind legs are, and then, which I don't know how he does to begin with.
I've never seen another dog do that.
I've never seen another dog do it either. But then what he does is, you know, to get the leash off your legs, you would walk forward.
Yeah, because like
because it's behind you and you want to get away from it. But he walks backwards.
Yeah, and like he's like going back, like he's like trying to sit up on his butt, but it's like
tripping over the leash. He's just incredibly dumb. And I don't even remember what the original question is, but moral of the story is Dewey is dumb. And if you're listening to this podcast because you want to listen about good, obedient dogs, this is the wrong podcast for you. Skip this episode because Dewey is a moron.
But he does understand commands. Like he's smart enough to understand.
Trainable. You can train him.
He knows sit, shake, come. He knows his name.
He does not know wait. I mean, he knows it, but will not follow wait at all. When you feed him, you know, you got to get the stuff in the bowl.
Oh yeah,
Dewey.
We should talk about the process of feed. That's one of the main things.
Well, okay, I'll just compare their getting fed styles. So Mikey's always been this way. You would go get the can of wet food from the kitchen and put the dog bowl in it, and Mikey would just wait. Dewey's the complete opposite. He has zero impulse control. He'll start to jump up on the counter, bump into you. He like does not care. He's getting in your way, and you can get mad at him. I have like not just yelled, screamed at him because he is just so annoying with how he does it. Like, you'd think like someone's getting hurt because I'm like screaming, or someone's in a major fight. And I'm not like a screamer or anything, but like it is just so annoying. If he like was purposely doing it, he has mastered the best way to purposely annoy someone. But Dewey is just like, he just gets in your face, and then you get the bull, and then he just starts jumping up.
Yeah, so
right in front of you.
He's 12 years old, and he's doing this. He's jumping up and down and barking while...
And again...
The process of you just getting the canned dog food into the bowl, then walking to the garage, getting the dry food, and putting it down. He makes it like the most like frustrating...
It's like a 30-second process of getting the food in the bowl, drawn out to like a 3-minute affair sometimes because he won't get out of your way. He just jumps up in front of you, and I have to tell him, go, and like point at him and just say, go, and like it takes like 5 times of like very firmly saying go before he actually goes out of my way. Otherwise, he's just jumping into me. He's jumping off the walls. Literally jumps off the wall.
Yeah, he jumps up. Off
front legs go off the wall. He is a lunatic. And then you make him. I was like sick of it. I made him like he has to sit down before I put the food down, and he complies to that. But then everything else, he's not. I have worked with him. Like, I'm not a dog expert or trainer. I've tried to work with him. Like how to just go, and it's just become part of the process. I've given up.
But to get back to the heart of gold part of the heart of gold brain of mush, is that like when you get mad at him, he just kind of like looks at you, and he just kind of like starts breathing a little heavier, and he just and he's like wagging his tail, and it's like you can't get mad at him because it's like this dog is just stupid. Like
the best part about Dewey's face though is Dewey looks like he's dumb. You know, you look at some people or some dogs, you're like, that looks like a dumb person, or that looks like a dumb dog. Dewey has that face. It is the most appropriate face for Dewey.
All right, so I guess the other kind of important things to touch on was the multiple running away stories. So, do you want to start with yours, where he wanted to get the pizza?
Because
I have two.
No, let's start with the one. Let's start with the big one. What?
Okay, so basically, we probably had him for like a month or two at this point, and how our house, we have our backyard, and then there's like a fence, and then there's a creek, and so me and my other brother, who's on the first episode, Dimitri, we're just playing video games. You know, it's around. We got Dewey at like the end of the year.
Yeah, this is probably around springtime now.
No, it is. Okay, unless I'm forgetting one. The one I'm talking about was like a couple weeks.
The fact that there's multiples of these is already pretty telling.
There's 3 or 4 at least. At least 3, maybe 4 if you're talking about a different one. But the one I'm thinking of was that so we were just playing video games, and
this is the one where I come home from work, right?
I don't remember. I think so. So we're just playing video games. One of us is playing on the TV, one's playing on the computer, and we're supposed to keep our eyes peeled for Dewey, and we're just like, where's Dewey? Like, I don't know. Haven't seen him for a while. And then basically we have like a little patio area by this fence for the backyard, and there's some terraces and there's some gates, but we had to like barricade it. Like it looked like we were like some sort of like zombie thing, like so he wouldn't get by. But basically he had slipped out and he had climbed our chain link fence, which was probably 4 feet, 5 feet high, and then he had escaped into the creek. And it was like, well. And I felt really bad because I was just sitting there playing video games.
Yeah,
and
I think you guys are playing video games. I get home from work and I'm like, "Where's Dewey?" And then you guys are just like, "Duh."
We didn't sound like that. But.
Duh. You're just like, "Duh." Who's Dewey? You guys just became like cartoon henchmen. You had one job to watch Dewey, and you let him slip away. I'm gonna give Dewey a hero. He's the hero in the story who escapes from the villain.
I think in this story, he found someone somehow, and someone had.
This was the time that Dewey was gone overnight. We had lost, we went.
Was this the first time he ran away?
No, I don't think this is the first time. But there was one where it's like we had a whole search party. I'm driving around. Everyone's driving around. The search party split up. Everyone's looking around, and then gave up. And then I was just in my head, well, Dewey's dead. That was fun while it lasted.
Because we live close by a major street where people drive really fast.
It's a highway. It's technically a highway.
So it's like. He is stupid enough to run into the street.
Yeah,
and get hit.
Yeah. We had no idea. There's so many directions he could have gone, and then just defeated.
To kind of get to the end of the story, there was one time where he ran away, where people across the creek found him. There was another time where someone took him to the Humane Society. So I think there's 4.
Yeah, there's.
So anyway, I'm gonna go into the other one where I had to chase him. So
I think one of those times. Well, there might be a 5th because there was one time where the door was just wide open, and I was just like, "Where's Dewey?" And I have no idea what that. I think it was just like down the street or whatever.
Okay, well, I'm going to go into kind of like the major one that I experienced. So, I'm in college and I have like a weird schedule, so I like didn't have class that day or something. So I'm home during the day, and the doorbell rings and it's like Amazon or something. Or actually no, did the doorbell ring? No, Mikey barked, so I knew there was someone there. And then I looked through the people. Okay, there's a package. So I'm like, I'm at home during the week, whatever. I'll grab the package. I opened the door to grab the package, and it was like a medium-sized package where like I couldn't easily like hold Dewey's collar to prevent him from going out and grab the thing. And then he had slipped out. And so this was probably in February, and I was wearing just socks and sandals, obviously clothes, but socks and sandals. And I'm a pretty fit guy, so I was like, okay, I have to run after him, because he had ran down the front stairs and gone out. So he turns, and then I see him going towards this major street, and I'm like, well, this may be the end of Dewey. And then he turns, so it's like good. He's still on the sidewalk, and then he's running, and I'm calling him. It's kind of hard to chase a dog while calling him. I don't have shoes on. Like, I was wearing sandals, and eventually I just kind of like slipped them off, like just on the sidewalk, so I could catch up. And so he's running, and I'm like, okay, good. He avoided the street. Then there's literally a guy who's like, that's a good dog. So this guy just standing there says, this is a good dog, when I'm literally chasing this dog who had ran out of our house. And I'm thinking, like, are you serious? This dog is trying to run away. He's not a good dog. So then he turns again down another street, like a residential street, and so I'm like, perfect, like, I'm good. And then I'm gaining speed on him, because like he's pretty fast, but he's like stupid, where he's like, like he'll run, but he's not like running like intensely or like extremely fast. It's just hard to keep up with a dog. And then eventually I catch up with him, and I'm like grabbing him by the collar, and I'm like, whew, I got him. And so I have to walk him back, and I walk by a food place, and he's like resisting. I'm like, come on. And then I eventually get him. But that was like not fun to do, to have to chase down a dog. I remember I didn't read it before going on here, but I had wrote out like all the full details about what happened right after it happened. Actually, I can find out when that was from.
Sure. I'll go. Should I start mine while you're doing that?
While he wanted to get the pizza?
Yeah. So it's surprising how many parallels that are to my story. Like, I'm sorry if this just sounds like a repeat.
Well,
mine has a better.
I'll interject, but when
so
I need to.
This time, Dewey had already had a reputation of being a bit of a runaway. I will say he has not been a runaway in a bit.
All right, real quick. This was January 22nd, 2015.
So 3 years ago.
We
just
missed the 3-year anniversary.
Just fresh of getting him.
Yes.
All right, so Dewey's already has a reputation of being an escapee. So I'm in the backyard, just hanging out. I don't know, maybe playing with Mikey. Dewey doesn't really play like that all the time. He sometimes just kind of off in the backyard doing his own thing. He loves to dig and then eat dirt. That's his big thing. Another case for me saying he is a big idiot. And I noticed that the side gate is open, and I was like, okay, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll be conscious of it. But I'm not going to be too worried about it. It's probably been a couple months since he's run away.
And at our house, it's kind of like not long, but like a long enough path where it's like really easy to like not keep... You can't see the gate from the backyard very well unless you're like all the way.
Well, I had angled myself so I could see it.
Okay, excuse me.
And yeah, I was doing proper security guard stuff, keeping an eye on the situation. And he starts going there, and I'm great. I'm like, great. And Dewey does know his name. He does respond to his name. He does come. However, when Dewey started going over by that gate, a little too close, and I started calling his name, Dewey decided this was not the time to listen to his name or to listen to come. So then I'm like, great. He then goes out the gate, and I'm like, awesome, cool. So I, of course, barefoot, have to start chasing him. I hoped that, unlike your story, he would not go down that way. He, however, did decide to go that way because there's all these like restaurants on that street. So he's following his nose. I'm chasing him. Of course, there is a person who's there who could have stopped him, and I'm running by. Unlike your person, this woman doesn't say, "That's a good boy." She goes, "Are you going to be able to get him?" And I was just like, "Why are you... What do you think I'm trying to do, lady? Like, you had the perfect opportunity. You could have just stood in the way. He would have turned around. He's not going to do anything.
If we didn't make it clear, Dewey's like 80, 85 pounds.
He's like, a big dog. Like, I guess that's why you could be scared, but there's two cats. He's afraid of both of them. Anyway, he starts going down. I'm like, great. He's going to start going down the major busy street where there's 3 lanes of traffic on one side. And he does go that way. I'm like, great. How far am I going to have to chase him? Barefoot. There is a pizzeria that is a block away. And I'm like, great. I don't know how far he's going to go. But they keep their door open. He turns into the pizzeria. And I was like, awesome. I can get him. He's not going down the street.
It's like, yeah, we don't have to worry about him getting in the car.
I was like, crap. He's inside a pizzeria. He could do anything in there. He will, when the counters have been cleaned thoroughly, will still jump on the counters and try to find something. Anyway, he goes in, and I'm running. I'm huffing and I'm puffing because Dewey's legitimately running, and I'm like sprinting after him.
And it's like to dog, it's a game, you know. Dewey, come, and you're chasing him. He's like, ooh, I'm gonna run.
I go in huffing and puffing, going, did a dog just run in here like an insane person? And the cashier just looks at me like, you are an insane person, and then nods at me, and then points to a direction. In that direction was a children's birthday party. And the children, it must have been an 8th birthday party, this is probably, in their minds, this is the greatest birthday party ever.
We're having pizza and this dog just comes.
A random dog just shows up, and they're just like, yeah! And I run over there, barefoot, in a restaurant. I am not... If I go in that restaurant in the current state of dress, they will not serve me pizza. Fortunately, I'm not in there to get pizza. I'm in to get a dog. And the children notice me, and they go, is this your dog? And I say, yes. Children, yes, this is my dog. And then, of course, like, one of them is just like, he's such a good dog. And I was just like, no. He is not a good dog. I just chased him into a pizzeria.
Did he get any pizza? Or
I don't know. I didn't care to find out. I grabbed his collar and hightailed it out there and walked the probably like 1/3 of a mile that like I had to chase him down. And luckily not that far, but...
And what's funny is the street where I got him is the street right before that pizza restaurant. So it's like he's
just venturing off further and
he's
further.
familiar with the area. Like,
yeah,
and we've never taken the dogs for a walk over that direction.
No, so because it's just a noisy street with lots of cars.
Yeah, but on that street there's many restaurants. So man, I forget where I was gonna go, but. Dewey, like you mentioned, he's very meticulous. You may say meticulous or you may say stupid, because he will jump on the counters.
Yeah, meticulous is giving him too much credit. He's an idiot.
he thinks
maybe food could show up.
Like Mikey's smart. He's like, okay, these people are eating. I'm gonna go in when they're done, and then sometimes he jumps on the counter. and then Mikey, we call him Mikey, and then he'll
he'll act like I wasn't doing nothing.
But Dewey will just repeatedly jump on the counters. Like we've gone through this with Mikey, we've gone through it with Dewey. So we have gotten used to dogs who jump on the counter, dogs who can get food on the table, dogs who can sometimes get food on the stove.
Okay, but okay, with Mike, you just put it up on the like on top of something on the counter. This does not deter Dewey. The lifestyle in this house has completely changed to cater to not letting this dog steal our food. Dewey's a dog that will come up to you and grab the hot dog out of your hand.
He definitely is that dog, and I had that happen to me as a kid by someone else's dog. But so like we have our counter, and our counter's like he can reach it standing up, but he can't. Doesn't have much reach after that. And then we have a toaster oven, and sometimes we'll put a plate on there. And in the past, he has knocked that plate down, gotten food. He's broken other dishes.
He also steals towels.
Yeah,
and oven mitts. I can't even leave an oven mitt on the counter for 5 minutes because Dewey will steal it and then destroy the oven mitt. So, like, we've gotten so paranoid about Dewey, anytime any person is in the kitchen, we get mad at Dewey, even if it's a human in the kitchen. We just yell, Dewey! And then it's like, oh, it's me. And it's like, oh, I thought it was Dewey.
But it's like, you get mad because you're like, I am not that dog. I am a human, and
I have every right to be in this kitchen.
Like, is weird as this sounds, I will, like, I'll either try to be quiet or make it my movements clear that it's a dog. Like I'll move something and put it down, and then I'll like move it like that. Like I don't make it sound like I'm like rustling or trying to like knock something over that a dog would do.
I should start announcing, I am in the kitchen. This is not Dewey. This is not a test. I am in the kitchen.
Yeah, like. But yeah, so I don't know. Meticulous may not be the right word, but he's very
idiot.
He always does it.
But you know what? You gotta give Dewey credit for keep trying. He's very optimistic. We've changed where the cat's food is placed. It's on the piano now. This, however, did not stop Dewey from trying to steal the cat food. Yeah, so there used to be a chair that was near the piano. Dewey would climb up the chair to climb up the piano to get the cat food.
I forgot about this. See, this is what I love about the show. So we have a piano, normal sized piano in like our TV room, and we would have a chair like tucked under it, for like an extra chair in the room, or no one really plays piano frequently.
Yeah, it's just like a computer chair. So it's on wheels, it swivels.
So I think he did this at least once before we noticed it. But sometimes, like we mentioned, he very food motivated, loves food. So sometimes we just throw him in that room while we eat dinner, and then there's a door for that room, so we close it in. And so we used to have cat food just on like deep in the counter, like in the kitchen, but at some point we put it on top of the piano. And so I think there's one time, I think the time that I noticed it, I think I was the one who saw it firsthand, but we were eating dinner or whatever, and then we heard some noises coming from the room, and I went to check what it was, and this dog had his back legs on top of the computer chair, his front legs on top of the piano, and was eating the cat food in the bowls.
The Super Bowl just happened. We had a Super Bowl party. It's very difficult to host any parties where food is a thing with Dewey around. You either have to kick Dewey out, lock him up, or just deal with the entire nuisance of his presence. There's like a shredder, like a paper shredder in that room, and then like a tower that you can put food there. And so we put food there. Dewey was constantly jumping on to the shredder to reach for the food, which he could not reach even still, but he kept trying anyway. And then we moved the shredder. Like, he is I'm trying to watch the Super Bowl. Just trying to enjoy the big game with friends and family. And I have to interrupt my day to change everything to prevent this dog from doing anything. So the shredder gets moved, and he's still trying to now jump on the tower. It's even harder, but he keeps trying anyway. So, meticulous if you want. Maybe not. I don't think meticulous is right. I think he just keeps on enduring. He never quits. He is just persistent.
So, touching further on that persistence and that you touched on earlier, was that he likes to steal clothes, particularly socks. He likes
and shoes,
towels. He likes shoes. Sometimes underwear. Sometimes t-shirts. Now you may say like, "Oh, we'll just put it away." We have my hamper is in the bathroom. The hamper is in a cabinet with a door that closes. This dog is stupid enough. I don't know what the correct word is, but persistent enough where he will use his nose to open this cabinet, and then he will stick his head in the hamper and dig out things. Usually socks, sometimes underwear, sometimes shirts, like I said, depending on what's there. So, I do a good job of, I don't leave dirty clothes around, but this dog finds them. And he steals them. He steals them a lot. You mentioned he steals oven mitts. He steals the little towel that we have hanging from the oven. He's probably ripped up like 5 pairs of oven mitts, if not more. And so most, like with the clothes, he doesn't rip them at all. He just holds them. So you have this dog who just steals your socks, and then he just holds it and goes, yeah. and then he like walks around. And going back to him being stupid, as he has a really short attention span, and he'll just drop it somewhere. Like he'll take it from one room, bring it somewhere else, sit down, and then just drop it.
He'll bring it like 5 feet and then drop it. He's like he's just like keeping himself occupied or something. And of course, like it's the classic dog thing where like you'll buy them toys, and they don't care about the toys. They keep taking the things that are not theirs for whatever reason. I guess because it smells like you or whatever.
Yeah, we haven't figured that one out. But he takes shoes, and he particularly likes the kind of like softer running shoes kind of style shoes. Like he'll just pick it up, he'll just hold it, and go. And usually he goes on his bed, and then he doesn't chew it at all. He doesn't wreck them. That's with the exception of the oven mitts. He doesn't wreck them. He just holds them and drops them. Very strange. But he always does that. And so I guess the other thing that I wanted to touch on was his need for attention, which I mentioned a little earlier. But he just needs a lot of attention, and like he doesn't really need a lot of playtime, but he just needs to be petted. I don't know. That also leads me to what I was saying earlier about. I think he had a lot of alone time by himself. And like one thing that he does that is really funny and goes again back to the heart of gold is that we're in like our TV room, and we'll have like, I don't know, 5 people in there. So we're watching TV, hanging out, whatever we're doing. And he will go up to each person, wait to be petted, then after you pet him, he proceeds to go to the next person. So you have a couch full of people. He'll go up to the person on the left. They pet him, say hi Dewey, whatever. Then he goes back around their legs, then goes to the next person, has them pet him. And he'll just stand there if you don't pet him, and he'll wait. And like I mentioned, he starts making some like...
He's knocked over my laptop. I'm using my laptop, and he pushes it, like, shuts it closed. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to do work, and you're just being annoying.
And yeah, so like so he'll go up to each person and be petted, and then he'll just walk. After he's done with his cycle, he'll just walk and sit down in the middle of the hallway or middle of the floor. And like another thing that he does is he'll just move like spots where he's sitting like after every couple of minutes. Like I don't know where that comes from, but he's a strange boy. So you talked about eating dirt. I just want to like, he just goes in the backyard, digs a little bit, and eats dirt. My theory is that we have a lot of trees, and so maybe he's going after acorns. I don't know. You have any inclinations?
You want my theory?
Yeah.
I think he's stupid.
Oh, that I haven't considered that yet.
That's my theory. I think he's just an idiot.
And he keeps digging in the same spot.
It's the same spot.
There's like a little hole, and so like when it rains, there's like a little puddle there. It's like the Dewey puddle. So another important part in painting a picture of Dewey that we haven't even mentioned are his farts. So, okay, whatever. Dogs have smelly farts, whatever.
Dogs have smelly farts. Old people, I assume. I don't hang around too many old people, but I'm sure many elderly, bless their hearts, when they fart, it's not great. And if my theory is true, the combination of Dewey being a dog with gross farts and being an older dog with gross farts, it is just the end results of the fart are multiplied tenfold. It's just it makes people leave the room. People have left the house because Dewey has farted. He is just absolutely disgusting, and you compare things to Dewey farts around here. That's a quarter of a Dewey fart. Sorry, I farted. Well, at least it's only a half Dewey fart. These are details I've just made up right now, but I think it would be a good metric. My favorite thing about Dewey farting, though, it's not the stench, because that's my least favorite. My favorite thing, I have never heard a dog audibly fart. Dog farts are silent. There's not like butt cheeks to make the audible ripples of sound. But Dewey, when he will walk upstairs, and as he walks upstairs, you'll hear a little...
Or sometimes it's just a...
You can hear this dog's farts.
And at first, it's like, okay, maybe that wasn't him farting. But then when you smell it right after that, you're like... That was him. And so, he I feel like he's toned down the farting a little bit. And there's probably
a couple... used to the dog food or whatever.
So that's one of the key things is, having a dog to a new home, they have new food, sometimes their poos are a little runnier. We thought that was a thing, and it's certainly true for the poo. But when he's farting like 2 years after we've had him, and they're still horrendous, it's like, okay, well maybe he's just a stinky fart boy. And so I'll go into this a little after we discuss the farts.
Fart Boy podcast.
Oh man, I need to rechange the name. But he takes medicine as well, so maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, but I think the funniest thing about the farts is that so there's actually two things. Sometimes he'll fart, and then Mikey will leave the room.
He's just like,
and sometimes he leaves the room too, but I don't know if that's because he farted or he's leaving the room.
He needs some sort of stimulus constantly. Mikey will pick a spot and chill out a bit. Dewey will constantly follow you, and it is annoying. It's not endearing. It's not like, oh, me and my dog are best friends. It is annoying. Like, he will not leave you alone. I don't... I turn around and tell him to leave me alone because, and get him to get away from me because he is just there. If you have to turn around, he doesn't move out of the way. He just gets in your way. He just makes life a little bit harder, and he farts along the way.
And so, we grew up playing Pokemon, particularly Yellow version. Pikachu follows you. That was a cool feature for kids at the time. And at first, you're like, cool, this dog follows me, just like Pikachu. But it's like, no, he gets in the way.
Much worse.
He gets in the way. He doesn't contribute anything. And
Pokemon is a lie, kids. Don't believe it.
I don't mind him following me as much as other people in this house. But what kind of gets at me is that I'll run up the stairs, do something oh, I forgot to do this. I'm bouncing around the house, and he's following me. I just go into my I go upstairs for 1 second, grab something, go back downstairs, and it's like, you're expelling all this extra effort for no reason. You could just sit there.
Okay, so this is... I don't know if I've made my point very clear so far on the podcast, but I think Dewey is stupid. And maybe you go like, oh, that's normal dog stuff, or whatever. I think if you have not bought into my theory that he is stupid, I think this is a strong point. We have an exercise bike. You'll ride an exercise bike. When you're on an exercise bike, your legs move with the pedals. Okay, they only move in one little circle.
It's a stationary bike.
It's a stationary bike. It's only in one spot. This dog, who just needs to be around someone, which is fine. I get it. He's a dog. Dogs are loyal. That's what they do. He will stand exactly where the pedal is going to go. So you will kick him. And then it's not just like a one kick and then he's like, oh, I got to move out of the way so I don't get hurt. He will stay there until you yell at him to get out of the way. You will kick him 3 or 4 times and it does not bother him. And you feel bad because you're kicking the dog on accident because he will not get out of the way, but he just won't get out of the way.
Have you considered that he wants to go on the bike? Like maybe he
I don't
just
know.
needs
Maybe
help.
he likes getting kicked. I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, he's getting older. He needs some, extra work on his back legs, right?
I don't know.
So
I think he's stupid.
The other thing to tie in the fart and the jumping on the counter into one perfect combination is there have been multiple times where we hear him jump on the counter. I run in there because sometimes we mess up. Sometimes we leave food out. He jumps on the counter. I hear a fart, and then he jumps off, and he's just like looking at me like breathing and wagging his tail and staring at me and smiling.
I've never seen it. I've never seen this in person, but I've heard rumors of Dewey, all 4 legs on top of the kitchen table.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
I've never seen it.
I've seen it a couple of times. Mikey too. I didn't mention that on Mikey's episode, but Mikey's done that too. But that was more so when we first got him. Yeah, this dog will jump on... We have like a bench in the kitchen, and he will jump on the bench, and then he will jump on the kitchen table. And we have what do you call those butter things?
The butter thing? I don't know.
Like a butter dish or whatever?
Yeah, butter dish.
I don't know. And
Yes.
it has a top. But sometimes someone leaves it off, and he's eaten the butter plenty of times.
Which is fine. Like, I get it. That's what a dog will do.
But this is like a 9, 10, 11,
yeah,
12-year-old dog.
Trained and who gets fed regularly and well, and gets treats along the way. And I will always give him peanut butter when I'm doing something with peanut butter. He's in the sport of it. It's the game of it that he likes.
The other thing we forgot to mention about the process of feeding him was that where it's like, how smart, how dumb is he? So we started feeding him. Way to be professional. Okay, so when we first got Mike, we would feed him after we ate dinner, whatever. This dog, Dewey, is a menace to society, I think. So we used to do that, and he would just get really, really annoying and start barking. And so it's like we started feeding him earlier and earlier, and then soon we started feeding him at 5 o'clock. And sometimes at 4:30, 4:45, he'll start getting a little antsy, and sometimes he barks, sometimes he does other things.
I'll say this about the 5 o'clock thing. It's extremely early. He's an old dog. But it seems like, I don't know if this is true or just like my memory being warped by the insanity of this dog, but I feel like when it's like daylight savings time...
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to mention.
He starts at 4 o'clock. No. Like when exactly... No, even though the time is earlier, even though it's like your body should be saying it's 4 o'clock,
yeah,
but it's 5, he will still at 5 o'clock... At the new 5 o'clock.
Yes, that's the thing, is when we have the time change. So when it's an hour later, he gets annoying earlier, whatever. But when it's like, oh, we have an extra hour, so it should be, your body should be on 4 o'clock time. It's like, this dog sometimes on the dot at 5 o'clock. We don't always feed him at 5 o'clock, but it's like at 5 o'clock, he's like,
He gets annoying.
he it's a new level of annoying.
He
of
starts
barking, of
He shoves his nose into you. It is the most passive aggressive thing ever. It's so
like, what's the
annoying.
like equivalent of you like going up to someone like shaking their shoulder or something? Like, I don't know.
It's like, oh, I want to. Hey, can you do me this favor? I'm not gonna ask you. I'm just gonna like start like shaking your shoulder.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best comparison. So, a couple last things to touch on is going back, Brandon Mush, the barking in the backyard for no reason.
Yeah, no further comment on that. He just
So-
will start barking in the backyard for no reason.
Typically, it's at night, but it's happened during the day where he'll go outside to use the bathroom, and then he'll just be in the middle of the backyard and start barking. So, at first, we thought maybe he can't see. But then when he's done it during the day, so it's like, I don't know what's up with this dog. And he's just out there and he goes, woof, woof. And sometimes it's in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's at 10. Sometimes it's at 2 in the morning. Sometimes it's 4 in the afternoon. I don't know. This dog is an insane being. So I think the main thing that I wanted to talk about last, and this is probably going to be fairly short, was his seizures. So he takes medicine because he has seizures sometimes. And he, we're always good giving his medicine, but he still has had some. Have you seen him while he's had one?
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, so I think I've seen like 2 or 3, and there was one where he was upstairs in the hallway. I was in my room on my computer doing something, and he was like going in like a circle, but it's like he can't really see very well, I think. And he was barking, and then there's another time where he like fell over, but he was like moving in a circle. Like his paws were moving and he was like kind of spinning. And so that was, difficult to see. I've been told sometimes like don't go near the dog because they may like be scared and they may bite you, but Dewey wouldn't hurt a fly like intentionally. Like he may accidentally hurt a fly, but he would never do that on purpose. And so I'm not concerned that he would do that. So, but when he's like bumping into walls and stuff, it's like you want to make sure he's okay. So that was a difficult thing to see a dog go through. But he hasn't had any serious like side effects from that. I guess the other thing that I forgot to write down was his tumor. So Dewey has a tumor.
Really lightening up the podcast. Now you're just making me feel bad that I've called this dog stupid for about an hour.
But it's funny because it's on his butt.
Yeah, it's a benign tumor too.
Yeah, it's benign.
So,
but my mom asked me to take a picture of it so we could see how it was. And at first I didn't know where it was. So on my phone I just have a picture of his butt and I can't see the tumor.
It's a great photo.
It's like, why do you have a picture of dog's
print of it?
Dog's butt? And then I showed my mom and she's like, what is that? I was like, Dewey's butt. It's like, why do you have that? It's like, because he has a tumor. She's like, oh yeah, I forgot. It's like, you told me to watch that.
Oh, good thing we took a picture of it.
So I guess that is everything that I can think of about Dewey.
Cool. So how do we end this? Do we rate him out of 4 paws?
Yeah. How many?
I give him 3.5 paws.
No, we don't do a rating thing.
Okay.
But I just want to say, like, we made fun of him. We called him stupid, but he's a very loving dog. He may need attention, but he's very sweet. One thing that is funny that is Mike will anyone barks at the door, and Mikey will go to the front door, and then Dewey will get up and kind of follow him. Like he's like, yeah, I'm doing it too. But it's like Dewey doesn't bark at the front door. But he's a sweet dog. Hey, if you come over and meet him, he's probably great. he may fart, but he's probably very, very, very great to just meet. He's a little more difficult to own, but I'm glad we have him. I think our house, we've got 5 people in the house. We can meet his needs, and so that is something that I'm glad is that we can meet his needs. I would never want to adopt the dog and have to give him up. That would be that'd be kind of heartbreaking because we're trying to help dogs. By adopting them in our lives. So I'm glad we've given him a loving home where he can get all the attention he needs. He can get walked and, get all the energy out that he needs to. I love Dewey. He's a sweet dog. The heart of gold. I agree. Is there any lasting things you want to say about Dewey?
I agree, but I think he's stupid.
Yeah, but like, I can tolerate it, like, it's endearing to me, so I love him for that.
He's endearingly stupid. He's very dumb. I don't think I'll ever meet a dog as dumb as Dewey, but he is also in the running for sweetest dog you'll ever meet as well.
Great. Well, that concludes another episode of the Good Boy podcast. Is there anything you want to plug? I know, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and, there's people who plug, something they do professionally. Is there anything you want to plug, just, advice?
Yeah, sure. I'll
or,
plug
support your library, or, anything like that?
I was going to plug this. Support the SPCA. They do good stuff for dogs.
Yeah, and that's something that I want to say. I want to make sure I say every episode.
You might get a winner like Mikey, or you might get Dewey. But all those dogs deserve a loving home.
Yeah, anything else you want to say, Be Kind, Rewind, or anything like that? Follow the golden rule. Be true to your heart.
Check out this movie, Napoleon Dynamite. It's really funny.
I have no relation to it. It's just a movie that came out 11 years ago.
Check out. Hey, have you watched this movie? It's called Home Alone.
Homeward Bound. Ooh, Homeward Bound episode.
Okay. Delete the 2 joke things I said. Watch Homeward Bound. You'll probably still cry when you watch it.
Great. So you can follow me at Twitter at my name, just Ilya Alexeyev. And you can follow the Twitter account for this podcast. It's The Good Boy Pod. I wanted to have cast, but it was too many characters.
Did you spell pod Pawd?
No, I don't think that would fit. I think I maxed out The Good Boy Pod.
Missed opportunity.
So
gotta get this done.
And just my YouTube channel is the same thing. Just my name, and I have the Good Boy series. Just short clips where you can see Dewey do all sorts of funny, endearing things. That was one of the main inspirations for this show. So thanks for listening. Please share it with anyone. The goal is to make this a easy to listen, family friendly show where you could tell your mom, your aunt, your grandma, I don't know, your grandpa, your uncle, your cousin, brother, sister, whatever. Tell them to listen to it. There's a lot of bad stuff that goes on, but we want to talk about some of the good stuff and some of the stuff that will make you smile, maybe bring a tear to your eye, whatever, all that fun stuff. So please rate this on whatever service you listen to. I plan to have this on all the major podcast services, so do that so I can hopefully get cool people on. Not that my brother isn't cool, but maybe hopefully one day have some people who are well known from the internet to talk about their dogs. Maybe you know that dog, so you may enjoy that episode. So thanks for listening, and keep petting those dogs.